I mean, you find a lot of the richest people on earth are very, very revered by others. There's a principle that many people use, and that is that when you assume the appearance of power, people give you that power. So is it not possible that this is simply what has been done? Is the problem the system, or is the problem the people who support the system? Because that is where the system comes from. The system only functions because of people's belief that it's real, and people support the system because they are in the wrong energetic state. And as I've said on other shows, when you have a psychopath that is in control of a system, and these psychopaths, I mean, folks, this is virtually most of our world leaders and pretty well anyone that runs a banking corporation. When you have a psychopath running these corporations, when you have psychopaths in control of countries, then their morality becomes the morality of the people over which they preside, because the people over which they preside give power to the system that enslaves them through their belief that it's real. But it's not. And all these people have to do that work within the system is to change their energetic state and view the people around them as being as valid as themselves. And the whole system breaks down. It simply crumbles. It's really that easy. And this has to start with the individual, folks. It has to start at home. It has to start with the people who are employed within these structures. Because obviously it's never going to start with the CEOs, but if the people within these structures suddenly begin to view themselves as valid and view the people around them as valid, and they live in that and they walk that talk, then they can change the system from within. And indeed, this is the only way the system will ever change. I mean, you're certainly not going to do it by voting or by petitioning your boss or petitioning politicians. You have to walk the talk yourself. I know that may sound like some sort of a pipe dream, and it may sound like some wishful thinking that's never going to happen. The human race will never do this, but I have the confidence that we will one day. I really believe that we will, and I believe that what conscious evolution is all about is coming to this realization that we are literally each other, and we are all as valid as each other, and if we simply do the right thing in all that we do, the possibilities are endless, folks. Where we could take reality to is absolutely mind-boggling if we simply applied that conscious state to the world around us and to the people around us. I can see it so clearly, and to me it just seems so simple and so obvious. I mean, really, when you look at the situation, folks, how else can we fix anything? So you see, we don't need mass protests. We need mass gatherings and speeches. We need to help people begin to view the world from this perspective and then to implement positive action in order to apply it to the world around them so that we can all stand together as one species. You see, this is where the Occupy movements fell down, folks. I mean, the Occupy movements were a good thing, but they didn't have a solid direction. They didn't have something to move on forward to from there. Even with the protests I've seen around here, the coal seam gas protests, it's all very well for people to get together on the day and make all this noise, but the problem is that then they believe that they've done their bit, when really what these protests and gatherings should be used for is to formulate positive action that will then be taken from that point. You need to always leave these events knowing what the next step is. But that is what's always left out. People don't look at the next step. They go there and they make all this noise and they think, okay, now I've done my bit. But then at the end of the protest, they're kind of left empty because they just go home and nothing's really changed. All they've done is make noise in the park, but they haven't got any steps to take from that point, and they haven't really done anything to affect positive change. So we need to be formulating a process that will move forward from that point. With all of these gatherings, that's what these gatherings should be used for. That should be the focal point of these gatherings, is to create a movement that will continue to move forward in a positive and well-defined direction. And the direction that we move forward needs to be based in love, compassion, understanding, and forgiveness. It truly does, folks. As I've often said, I don't hate the Rothschilds, I just want them to come home. I believe reality is a reflection of ourselves. I believe the problems that we see in the world around us are a reflection of what's in our hearts. And until we can see that, and until we can forgive those that have trespassed against us and move the entire consciousness forward, all we're going to be doing is going through this inner battle, which is going to be manifested as an outward battle. And nothing is ever going to change, and the human race will continue along its downward spiral. And the only consolation with our continuance down this downward spiral is that the more negative it gets, the more people wake up. And I truly do look forward to the day when that happens. And not for myself, folks, because I've lived most of my life, but I want to leave behind a world that is a good and viable world. I want to leave a world behind that is safe for my son. I want to leave the world in a better state than how I found it, because I believe that is the purpose of everybody. I really do. I believe that is everybody's ultimate purpose. It's not to garner what they can for themselves while they're here at the expense of everybody else, because that's just all fiction. It's just temporary. It doesn't mean anything. What the real purpose of people is to leave the world a better place and to improve creation and improve reality by their presence in it. And of course, all this begins by changing your energetic state. And I believe that this starts at home. It starts within the heart of the individual. And when we can adjust our mindset to live that way, then the world changes. See, the police wouldn't be out there arresting people in Chicago if the people weren't there protesting. The people wouldn't be there protesting if the system wasn't in place, but the system wouldn't be in place if the people didn't comply with it. And the only way to not comply with it is to see each other as valid. I mean, it always comes back to this, folks. You've got to have this community. That's how you escape the system. That's how you stop supporting the system, is to support each other. I know I'm just banging the same drum here, but this is how it's done, folks. This is what we need to do. There wouldn't be so many police. There wouldn't be things like the Patriot Act being brought into place if the people simply didn't comply with it. If the people were connected with each other, there wouldn't be crime. There wouldn't be crime in politics. There wouldn't be crime in the system that imposes itself upon people, because the people simply wouldn't allow it, because to follow the rules of the system is not to do the right thing, and so of course you wouldn't do it. Regardless of what legislation has been put in place to prevent you from doing the right thing, you just don't go along with it, folks. And if the police were thinking in any way clearly, they wouldn't be arresting people who didn't go along with corrupt rules. They'd be arresting the people who wrote the corrupt rules. So ultimately, folks, right up the food chain, it's all about everybody that works within the parameters of the system changing their energetic state and beginning to operate outside those parameters and beginning to operate out of mutual respect for each other, and even question why such parameters have been put in place. And this has got to start with the individual, because that's the only place it can start. You see, ultimately, folks, it all comes down to us. It comes down to you and me. It comes down to the people on the street. There's no use trying to change things by voting for anyone or petitioning or marching. It's all about applying yourself to reality around you. It's all about how you treat the people around you, how you treat the people within your business structure. It's all about whether you personally do the right thing in all that you do all the time and don't accept anything less from others as well. That's important as well, folks. Doing the right thing doesn't mean you get trodden on by people. It means that you do the right thing. You do what is right in all that you do. And if someone is inflicting legislation or laws or rules against you which stand up against that, then you stand in your flesh and blood and you question their actions. And that's really the best advice I can offer to anybody on how to change the world. And I really look forward to the day when people put this into action in their own lives, because It's the way we can change things, folks. It really is. And I only say this because I love you. I really love all of you. I don't care who you are. I don't care what you've done. It doesn't matter what anybody did. The only thing that really matters is what we do from this point forward. So let's make the right choice and let's do the right thing. But look, we're just about at the end of the show here, folks, so I probably should leave it there before I go off on another tangent and we don't have room to fit it in. I'd like to say thank you to all the people who continue to listen and to support the show. It really is very gratifying to get the emails that I get. And folks, even if I don't answer all of your emails, I do read every single email that comes in. Sometimes they get a little bit backed up and I might have to spend an entire day reading emails, but they do all get read. And if I don't get to answer you, please do accept my apologies. I just don't have time to answer them all. And very often I think I must reply to that, but then I forget to flag it and it gets buried and I never seem to be able to find it again. And that's a little bit of a problem too. So I've tried to remember to flag everyone that I really do feel an urgent need to reply to. And there is a great many that I've got there in my box, but I will hopefully get to them one day. Thank you to anybody who's ever shown support for the website. The cupboard's really bare at the moment, folks, and I hate asking for donations, I really do, but sometimes I have to because it's really the only thing that keeps it all going. And I notice that everybody is struggling at the moment, so if you can't make a contribution, well, I understand completely. But if you can, please know that it is very much needed, and please accept my thanks in doing so. Something else that I wanted to mention is that if you are subscribed to my YouTube channel, perhaps you may want to check your subscription, as YouTube has deleted around about 2,000 of my subscribers over the last week. Maybe they're just house cleaning, but it is very annoying. They deleted 1,000 subscribers a couple of months ago, so that's about 3,000 they've deleted in the last couple of months. So you may want to check your subscription on YouTube, just in case one of those who has been deleted happens to be yourself. But that is it for me, folks. We are completely out of time, so I'm going to have to leave it there for now. I will look forward to speaking to you again next week. Please take care until then. In Lakesh.